It is an encounter with God that often brings us into the path to our destinies. That encounter with God is very important. Because that is where you receive the full conviction of your calling. That is where you receive the full conviction of God's mission that has been placed on you. That encounter with God is critical. That's why whenever I ask, in terms of assessing candidates for ordination, one of the things I ask is, have you had an encounter with God that gave you the conviction that this is really your calling? How do you know you are truly called of God? Can you tell me? What is your basis for believing you are truly called to do this kind of ministry? Kung di siya mabigay na, no, I cannot believe na called siya. It has to be conviction that is in your heart because you know it came from the Lord. Are you still here? And God, you might along the path, you might be trying to guess your calling, and maybe you are in your calling, but it will take an encounter with God to give you the deepest conviction. Because that conviction is important for you to endure in your calling. Because you know this is my mission. And nothing can change that. You must have that full conviction. Whether you're called to be an apostle, a prophet, a pastor, evangelist, whatever your calling is, be sure you have an encounter with God that made you convinced this is my calling. This is not man-made. This is supernatural. I had an encounter with God. This was the beginning of his destiny, this encounter with God. All the great movements of God in history, in the work of God's kingdom throughout history, begins with an encounter with the God of heaven. Look at the Old Testament, the great men, it always began with an encounter with God, even Nehemiah. All of this, they have an encounter in their own private times with God. Conviction was sowed into their souls. A conviction that will change their lives forever. Because they know God's mission for them. Do you have that conviction in your heart? Or baka ikaw lang nagtawag ng sarili mo? You understand that? Are you really called of God?